All right, welcome back everyone. With the conclusion of that last presentation, we are now officially about to wrap up JungleCon. We want to thank everyone who's joined us over the past 2 days to make Jungle Scout's first ever seller conference one to remember. And if you weren't able to attend all the presentations, don't worry, because JungleCon is available here on YouTube to be played back at your convenience. We hope you enjoyed all the discussions, tutorials, and presenters, and will leave today knowing more about what it takes to upgrade your selling strategy and take your business to new heights. One important note I want to leave you with is knowledge is power, but without action is useless. So I'd encourage you to all review each session and write down your key takeaways and how you're going to apply those strategies to your business, and most importantly, win. Now, there's no one that knows more about being a lifelong student, taking action, setting goals, and then executing on them than our next guest. It brings me great pleasure to introduce our final speaker for JungleCon. Back to the stage, Greg Mercer.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Thanks, Jake. So I know you learned a tremendous amount of information throughout all these sessions. They've been fantastic, and I know that I've really enjoyed them. Now, oftentimes after consuming this much information or this much content, a lot of people can feel overwhelmed. You probably feel inspired and motivated, as you should, but it can also be a little bit overwhelming, like, oh my goodness, I just learned so much about what I can do on my business. Which items do I take advantage first or go after first? And I'm gonna leave you with a few thoughts as you're thinking about that. To start, don't try to do too much in any given day. If you're watching this right now, you're probably an overachiever and you want to do a whole bunch. But the reality is, especially if you're learning it for the first time, some of this stuff takes a fair amount of time. So what I would recommend is instead choose one thing to work on in your business each day. So as you wake up or as you're sitting down at your computer, be thinking about what's the one thing that I'm going to do today, or what does success look like today? As you're doing that, it kind of helps get rid of all the other noise in your life or all the things that you could be doing and lets you just focus on that one thing. Recognize that building businesses are a culmination of a whole bunch of those one things. When you look at someone else's business, it can seem like very large or complex or much more sophisticated than what yours is. But in reality, that's just a whole bunch of one things all stacked on top of each other. As you're thinking about what that one item is that you're going to be working on that day, be thinking about what's the highest impact item that you could be doing for your business right now. So, for example, if you're starting a brand new business and you're looking for that first product to sell, that right there is the highest impact thing you could be doing, selecting that product. So instead of sitting down and trying to start to work on your listing or learn more about PPC, instead I'd encourage you to be doing that one highest impact item, which in that example is finding a product to sell. Let's imagine that you're already selling a few different products and you want to start Amazon advertising or PPC after watching that session. I'd say sit down and have that as your focus of the one thing. And that's going to take iterations to kind of get right. You're going to have to continue to be working on it. But as entrepreneurs, it can be really overwhelming to have all these different things that we can be working on in any given day. We don't have bosses that we have to report to, so they don't help us with any of the structure or the guidance. So that's why I think it's really important to try to simplify it. Think, what's the highest impact thing I can be working on, and stay focused on just that one item, or have that your main goal for the day. A lot of you watching this right now probably have a lot going on in your life. A lot of you have full-time jobs, or you're a parent. You have other responsibilities or obligations that probably feel like they already take up most of your waking life. So to stack starting or growing a business on top of that can be very challenging. I remember when I was in that same situation, and it wasn't easy. I was working a full-time job. I had a long commute to come home. I would typically eat dinner, and then I would have like a couple hours to work on things before I went to bed that night. And just this principle of trying to focus on one thing each time you sit down to work on your business was really helpful for me. The other thing that really helped me get my business off the ground and get started was jumping in head first, even though I didn't know or understand how to do something that I was going to need to know how to do, later on down the road. So let me give you an example. If you're just starting your business and you're looking for that first product to sell on Amazon, it's perfectly okay right now not to know how to create a listing. When we think about it, to get your business off the ground, to get it going, you need to find that first product to sell. You then need to find someone to make it or a factory, ship it into Amazon. And during that period when it's being manufactured or being shipped, you have plenty of time to learn how to create a listing and then learn how to do Amazon advertising. And I think what happens for a lot of people is they get stuck feeling like they have to know how to do every step before they can even get started. And for me, instead I just jumped in head first. I put down that deposit, I placed the order for the goods, even though I had no idea how to create a listing yet, or how to do the advertising yet, or even how a shipment into Amazon worked. And the benefit of that is after putting down that deposit to have that factory make my goods, it then gave me some extra accountability. I then knew, okay, well, I have to figure out how to do this before my goods arrive from China into the US. And just little things like that along the way can be helpful to go ahead and take the next step and then have some other kind of outside pressure or some other influence to help hold you accountable in the process. Something else that's super helpful for all entrepreneurs is surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. This can be in the form of an accountability partner, even being active inside of Facebook groups, being in a mastermind, or wherever you can find other like-minded individuals. And this is for multiple reasons. To start, if you don't have friends or family or other people you're hanging out with that are entrepreneurs, they're more traditionally minded, think that you should be working that 9 to 5, then they're gonna probably be telling you you're crazy. I remember when I was starting my business, everyone was telling me that I was crazy. They're like, Greg, you just went to college for 4 years and paid for all of that, and now you're gonna quit your job within a few weeks of starting? Like, you're an idiot. Why don't you stick with your job or find the same job somewhere else that you like better? Or, Greg, don't you know that the majority of small businesses fail? Now give me all these different types of statistics or whatever else. And the truth of it was they just had never been in the world. They hadn't surrounded themselves with other entrepreneurs or known a lot of small business owners. And the result of that is they had this limiting belief, and they were thinking that there was only one way to go about it and only one way to kind of like live your life. So when I told them, hey, I'm starting my own company, I'm quitting my job, selling all my stuff, and I'm gonna travel around the world for a few years, they're like, dude, you are an idiot. What kind of drugs have you been smoking? You need to stick with your job. And during that process, I started to get to know and interact with other entrepreneurs. And then all of a sudden, I was seeing other people out there that were a few steps ahead of where I wanted to be. So I met and I was hanging out with people that just started their business a year ago and it was already successful. And I was like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it. And the more that you're surrounding yourself with other like-minded individuals, especially ones that are just a few steps ahead of where you are, it makes it that much more real. Through working with other entrepreneurs, one thing that has always stuck out to me very brightly is how entrepreneurship is like 99% a mental game. If you think you can do it, you're right. If you don't think you can do it, you're also right. So going into it, knowing you can do it, not listening when your friends and family tell you you're a little bit crazy for wanting to start your own business. If you believe you can do it and you're determined to make it happen, you will make it happen. And I see that time and time again with like every entrepreneur I've ever worked with. And looking back, I saw that exact same thing in me. The exact same is true with selling on Amazon. Every single year I hear from a whole bunch of people, oh, it's too competitive now, it's too saturated, it's too hard to get reviews now, there's too many other sellers from China that can source cheaper goods. Whatever it is, there's always some kind of excuse of why they don't want to get started now or why it's not going to work for them this time. And year after year after year after year, we continue to hear success stories. Like, it never changes. There's always going to be the people that think they can't do it. And it's always for some new reason that no one's ever heard of before. And this time it's different. It's always supposed to be different every time. But in reality, it never is. The people who think that they can do it follow through with it, take action on it, those are the ones that make it happen. And there's just as many or more success stories that we've heard of recently in the past few months or the past year than even what there was before that. So it's like, not only are the doubters and the haters wrong, but they're super wrong because it's almost like it's the opposite of that right now, which is the crazy thing. So just remember that as you're going away from this, that right now is an incredible time to be selling on Amazon. Take this information that you've learned today, be thinking about which aspect of your business is the highest value thing for you to be working on. Sit down at your computer with just that one goal of getting that done. Do that day after day after day. Stack all those one things on top of each other. And if you do that, I'm confident that next year, when you return to JungleCon, you'll be one of those success stories and you'll be telling me, Greg, that was the start of where my life really started to change. And I want to hear from you next year at JungleCon how you've achieved that life that you set out at the beginning of this JungleCon when I was asking you, what does the perfect life look like for you? Because nothing is more gratifying and satisfying to me than hearing all these success stories from people and hearing how we've made this positive impact on all these people's lives. So I know you can do it. Believe in yourself, and thank you so much. Take care. Need more smoke, more smoke. If you want to be an incredible entrepreneur just like Lenny is, then you listen here because we have the content for you. Step 1, get an awesome Australian accent. Every successful Amazon entrepreneur I have has an incredible Australian accent.